Emily laid the folder on my kitchen table the way someone places a decision they expect you to accept without argument. "Dad, these are just family forms," she said, nudging it closer with 2 fingers. "Routine stuff. We should get them done today." I was still drying a coffee mug, steam from the sink fogging the window behind me. My hands were damp, and for a reason I couldn't name, I suddenly felt out of place in my own kitchen. But Emily was already pulling out a pen, tapping it like a metronome counting down my compliance. David stood near the fridge, pretending to read the magnets. He wouldn't look at me. I sat, feeling oddly minimized by the 2 people I had raised. Emily opened the folder with brisk efficiency. Pages fanned out, clean, intentionally arranged. "These first ones are contact updates," she said. "Straightforward. Just sign at the bottom." Her tone was light, but her gaze clung to my hand like she was guarding the signature line. The pen felt heavier than it should. My name above the blank line looked strange, exposed. Halfway through the second page, she sighed loudly, the kind that suggests you're making this harder than it needs to be, even though I hadn't said a word. "Dad, you don't need to read every paragraph. These are standard." But I tried to read anyway. My glasses slid down my nose. I pushed them back. The dense, tiny print made my eyes ache. "I like to understand what I'm signing," I said quietly. "Trust me," she replied, smiling without warmth. "There's nothing complicated here." Nothing complicated, yet she watched me instead of the documents. David shifted, his shoe scraping the tile. A small sound, but sharp enough to cut through the silence. I turned the next page. The language shifted, legal, formal. Then I saw it, future property management and oversight. The words hit like a pressure point. "Oh," I murmured. I didn't look up. Emily's reaction was quick, a flicker in her jaw before she smoothed it over. "That one's optional. You don't need to worry about it today." Optional. But the pen she'd handed me rested right beside it. Something inside my chest compressed. "I think I need better lighting," I said, standing. "My eyes are tired." "Dad, seriously? It's just paperwork," she snapped too fast. "I'm not signing anything else today." David finally met my gaze. Not relief, guilt. Emily snapped the folder shut. "Fine. But don't delay too long. Some decisions expire." Expire. Like milk. Or patience. Or fathers. They left shortly after. The door clicked softly but felt like it echoed. I stood staring at the folder on the table. The house seemed colder than before. Inside me, something shifted, not loud, not angry. Just a quiet structural crack in the foundation that had carried too much weight for too long. Something had cracked inside me, quiet, controlled, but it didn't seal overnight. By morning, the pressure had settled beneath my ribs, a slow, persistent weight shaping the edges of my day. I made coffee the same way I always did, but even the kettle sounded impatient. At 8:12 a.m., Emily sent the first text. "Emily, Dad, we need to finish the forms today. I'm trying to help you." At 8:14. "Please be ready by 3. Don't overthink this." Overthink. As if reading my own paperwork was an inconvenience to her schedule. David's message came later. "Just sign what looks normal. She's stressed. Don't make it a big thing." A big thing. I hadn't argued. I hadn't questioned. But somehow the burden always slid back onto me, my supposed slowness, my caution, my difficultness, whenever I asked for clarity. At the library, shelving returns, my hands moved steadily while my mind replayed their tones. Emily's clipped urgency. David's quiet detachment. The shiver in the room when my name hovered above a line they wanted filled. Around noon, Emily called. I stepped into the break room. "Dad, please don't drag this out. I rearranged my day for you," she said. Her voice carried that familiar mix, sugar on top, steel underneath. "I just need time," I said. A pause too long. "You had time yesterday," she answered. I'm trying to keep you from getting overwhelmed by things you don't handle well anymore. There it was. The subtle cut. Wrapped neatly. When I hung up, I realized I had been gripping the counter hard enough for my hand to ache. After work, the stack of bills on my kitchen island greeted me with their usual quiet demands. Internet. Water. Insurance update forms. My life was already filled with documents I'd managed for decades. Yet Emily acted as though competence was something she needed to lend me. I reheated leftover soup and sat at the table. The folder lay exactly where she'd pushed it, crooked, like a claim staked on my own space. A voice message buzzed through. Dad, I love you, but this is getting unreasonable. If you care about making things easier for everyone, you'll finish this tonight. Easier for everyone always meant easier for her. Later, scrolling through my phone, I saw Emily's social media post, a picture of a latte with the caption, "Taking care of Dad's paperwork today." #responsibility. Hundreds of likes. Comments praising her. No mention of me still being alive and capable. I locked the phone and set it face down on the table. By evening, the house felt tighter, as though the walls were listening. I washed the same plate twice without noticing. I left laundry in the dryer, forgotten. Something inside me stretched thin. My patience, my willingness to be maneuvered, the quiet version of myself they depended on. I looked at the folder again. Not with confusion. Not with fear. But with the first steady understanding that this arrangement, this slow erosion, could not continue much longer. By the third evening, the pressure wasn't subtle anymore. It had shape, weight, intention. I felt it every time my phone lit up with Emily's name, each message arriving like a knock meant to rattle the frame of the door. At 6:03 p.m., her text came without its usual pleasantries. Dad, this is getting embarrassing. We need control of your paperwork before something happens. Before something happens. As if I were an aging liability she needed to secure. I was chopping onions for dinner, the knife steady on the cutting board, but the message made my hand pause mid-air. Control. Not help. Control. A minute later, another text. I made an appointment for you tomorrow at 9. Don't be late. Bring your ID and the signed pages. An appointment. For me. Without asking. Decided, packaged, delivered. David called soon after. His voice was thin, stretched like a rope pulled between loyalty and discomfort. Dad, look, she's just trying to organize things. I didn't ask her to organize me, I said. He hesitated. She's under pressure. Just sign what feels normal. But it doesn't feel normal. A soft sigh. Maybe you're reading too much into it. That line, a lifetime of dismissal condensed into 8 words, landed harder than Emily's commands. I ended the call gently, but something inside me lurched closer to the brink. Later that night, I drew the folder toward me again. The paper edges brushed against my fingertips, cool, too smooth, almost smug. I read slowly, line by line, refusing the skimming they wanted. There it was again, the clause Ruth had cautioned me about when I'd shown her a photo earlier. Temporary delegation of property decisions pending review. Pending review? By whom? Certainly not me. My breath tightened. Tiny shifts in wording carried entire futures inside them. But what stopped me cold wasn't the clause, it was the second signature line. Not for me. For Emily. Why did she need to sign something supposedly routine? The room didn't move, but the meaning rearranged itself around me. I opened my laptop, intending just to breathe through emails, but my fingers drifted to my banking app. The screen loaded, showing my balance fine. Normal. Familiar. But then I opened the linked access section. I wasn't sure why. Maybe intuition. Maybe habit. 2 weeks ago, a new device had been added. Not mine. A clean, cold sensation spread across my back. I didn't need to jump to conclusions, not yet. But innocence doesn't hide behind secrecy. And family doesn't make changes in the dark. Whatever Emily was building, she thought I wouldn't see it until it was finished. I closed the laptop softly, as if any sudden movement might break the fragile clarity forming inside me. For the first time, the sentence emerged fully in my mind, not a whisper, not a tremor. This ends now. I didn't say it aloud. The room didn't need to hear it. But I did. And that was enough. After seeing that unfamiliar device connected to my bank account, something in me shifted again, this time not toward fear, but toward a clean, unwavering clarity. Not heat, not agitation. Just a steady inner stillness that felt almost foreign after months of being maneuvered from every angle. I woke before sunrise the next morning. The house was dark, still, unclaimed by anyone's expectations. I brewed coffee and watched the steam curl upward. For once, the quiet didn't feel empty. It felt like space. My space. I sat at the kitchen table with a notebook and began listing details, dates, remarks Emily had made, her sudden urgency, the order of the documents she'd pushed in front of me. I wasn't cataloging emotion. I was cataloging facts. Facts don't bend under pressure. I scanned every page of her forms using my phone, naming each file precisely, then emailed them to myself and saved backups in 2 cloud folders. A small task, but it felt like securing bricks in a wall that belonged to me. By midday, I walked into the bank. The clerk asked a few questions, typed a few things, then frowned. "Yes, sir. A device was added recently. If that wasn't you, we should remove it immediately." I nodded. The calm in my voice surprised him, maybe even me. "Remove it. And lock the account." He watched me for a moment, waiting, perhaps, for outrage or panic. I offered none. I confirmed each security change with a simple, firm yes. From the bank, I walked 2 blocks to a quiet legal aid office. I didn't show the entire stack, just the clause about temporary delegation of property decisions. The attorney looked at it carefully, her expression tightening in recognition. She explained its implications, the subtle traps in its wording. I wrote everything down. No trembling. No justifying. No apologizing. When Emily texted in the afternoon, "Dad, tomorrow we finish everything. Be ready," I didn't respond. Silence, for once, felt like a boundary instead of a retreat. David called too, his tone unnaturally cheerful, stretched thin. I let it ring until it stopped. I no longer felt the urge to protect him from discomfort. My responsibility wasn't to shield anyone from my clarity. That evening, I placed the folder on the table, not to review it, but to observe it. The space beside each signature line seemed louder now, weighted with assumption. Years of unspoken expectations pressed into those blank spaces. I created a clean binder, added printed copies, tabbed each section: bank, legal, communications, evidence without drama, preparation without spectacle. The house hummed softly, peaceful in a way that felt new. I brewed tea and sat in the living room, letting the quiet settle around me like armor. Tomorrow, Emily would arrive expecting the same compliant man she had managed for months. Instead, she would meet someone she had not accounted for. Someone steady. Someone resolute. Someone done bending. Emily arrived exactly at 9, walking in with the brisk certainty of someone who believed the outcome was already written. She placed the folder on the kitchen table without greeting me. David trailed behind her, nervous, hands tucked into his jacket pockets. "Dad," Emily said, "let's finish this now." I closed the notebook in front of me. "Sit," I said. Calm. Not a suggestion. She blinked, surprised, but obeyed. David sat slowly. I set my binder on the table, thicker, organized, unmistakably deliberate. Her eyes caught on the labeled tabs. "What is that?" she asked. "My records," I said. "Copies of everything you brought me." A small silence opened. She forced a smile. "Dad, you're making this complicated. These forms are." "No," I cut in, steady. "They're not routine. And you know they're not." Her smile faltered. "You misunderstood." I slid the page containing the hidden clause toward her. "Explain this. Temporary delegation of property decisions." And why it requires your signature. Emily stared at it, mouth tightening. It's just planning ahead. You're not always on top of things anymore. I didn't respond to the insult. I simply placed the bank record beside it, the one showing the unauthorized device. Her face strained. Dad, I only added that so I could help monitor things. You weren't supposed to. You added it without permission. My voice stayed level, almost quiet. This account will remain under my sole control. It already has security blocks in place. David let out a breath, rubbing his forehead. Emily, why didn't you just talk to him? She whipped toward him. Because he never makes decisions. I was trying to protect all of us. I shook my head. Protection doesn't happen in the dark. Her eyes reddened, not with sorrow, but with the shock of losing control. So what now? I stacked the papers neatly. From this moment on, no decisions about my property, finances, or medical matters involve either of you without explicit invitation. That boundary is permanent. Emily's jaw clenched. You're choosing to make this difficult. No, I said. I'm choosing to make it clear. She stood abruptly. Fine. But she didn't slam the door, it closed with a soft, defeated click. David lingered in the doorway. Dad? I didn't know it was this serious. I know, I said gently. Take better care of yourself than you took of the truth. He nodded and left. The house fell into a warm, reclaimed quiet. Later, I brewed tea, opened the curtains, and let late morning light stretch across the room. I updated passwords, filed documents in the binder, and tidied the kitchen. Small, ordinary acts, but each one felt like a right return to its owner. By evening, I sat on the porch with a book, hearing nothing but wind and my own steady breath. The life in front of me was mine again, simple, unconfused, unclaimed by anyone else. And clarity, I found, was the cleanest ending of all.